Okay, I'm going to talk about Miles's and now I'm sure there's certain amounts of people who are stubborn enough that don't want to hear my opinion on Spider-Verse and how it feels like it's missing a scene, important scene, and I never knew that was, but I had a feeling it was like there's just something from Miles that I'm not understanding, that I'm not really sure where he's coming from, because I don't see how he doesn't know that he's an incompetent Spider-Man and not capable of being a hero, because he's incompetent and inexperienced. And yet he completely fools himself in the 3-act structures and show that he is competent, even though the evidence proves against him that he is. So, yeah. I mean, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man, had the same problem. Mostly when I got to, especially when I got to the last 15 minutes of the film. But Spider-Verse is more consistent with just batshit stupidity run. And, in a way, it's basically Miles Morales, I'm just going to say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the worst and best of all the elements of the past Spider-Man films rolled into one. And that's kind of the problem. And kind of the charm is very conflicting. Anyway, and I'm going to compare Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say, I don't know what I'm going to tell you this, okay? Something Spider-Verse has Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome or something like that. So both of them are very cluttered and trying to juggle of several things at once, but have the main protagonist be the main protagonist while juggling these other things. And it's confusing, you're not sure which is the worst of film, Spider-Verse or Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2. The full title being Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Andrew Garfield flick, and you're not sure which is the weaker Spider-Man film. I don't know. And that's what kind of confuses me, and why I can't give you the answers. I have no idea yet. I mean, in some ways they beat each other, in some ways they lose to each other. So it could be kind of a tie. So Spider-Verse has the same problem that the third act of, you know how everyone was complaining how the third act felt like you didn't know what you were doing when Spider-Man comes back in the ring at Spider-Man, being active Spider-Man after being gone for a few months. And we have Gwen's inspirational, very cliched speech brings Spider-Man back from retirement and saves the kid that thinks that he has spider powers and against the Rhino. Well, I guess from what I can gather is the original idea of the ending that was going to bring Spider-Man out of retirement was going to be Uncle Ben revealed that he was really alive and faked his death the whole time throughout the 3-act structure. And that's probably why they had that plane scene shot. I'm pretty sure that's why they had that plane scene shot. So that whole plane scene sequence of Uncle Ben supposedly not knowing if he made the plane crash or not, turns out he did. And a deleted scene, and he delivers and he basically tells Peter a little pep talk saying, your mother and Aunt May, he says your mother, and he says how your mother and Gwen, his girlfriend, Peter's girlfriend, died at the cost of Oscorp of what they're working on. And because of Oscorp what started all this, we can't let their names be in vain and let them die for no reason. And that's when he delivers the line, with great power comes great responsibility. And then I love you, son. Then and it was supposedly that was supposed to be, but no, let's have a video speech. Let's have the kid, like 8-year-old kid or 5-year-old kid, I don't know how old he's on the young side, face off against the Rhino, posing as Spider-Man. And this Spider-Man swoops in the day and says that the stupid kid's a brave kid. And now let's look at Spider-Verse. Throughout the 3-act structure, Spider-Man Miles Morales, who's not Spider-Man yet, convinces himself without training or discipline or hard work or self-controlling your own powers, thinks that he's ready for the job, and constantly tells him that to himself, even though he knows he's not ready. So, Peter wife really webs him up so he doesn't get killed and fucked up with the mission, like he has been fucking up everything from the 3-act structure. And Peter asks by Miles, when does he know he's fine? And he says, you won't. No. That's all it is a leap of faith, Miles. And it swings off with the other people from the Spider-Verse to save the day. Then, his dad comes to the door and gives, out of nowhere, this inspirational speech. That sounds like something Uncle Ben would say. Very inspired, but very kind of questioning if you're high. Or wondering how high are your expectations for your son figure. Or anyway, my point is, it doesn't seem true when Uncle Ben did in the comics. Something it felt unique enough and natural enough. It kind of rolled off, and what I'm trying to say, it's not as good as what we could have gotten in that scene. So then, after some fireworks from his dad and walking off, he decides he's ready to be Spider-Man by believing in himself, but through magic of a speech, inspiring words. Yes. The pseudo genre works in many cliches, mysterious ways that are very questionable for the human mind, because we cannot comprehend the stupid stuff. And he saves the day, and everyone else goes back to their own dimension, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what we could have gotten is a more actually, unique way of having Miles becoming a competent Spider-Man instead of a very generic and cliche and marketable way. Like Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2, I mean. The last 15 minutes. And the last 15 minutes of Spider-Verse suffer the same death penalty. See, I saw this scene just now, and turns out I think I know where this was supposed to be go. This was supposed to be the scene where Spider-Man Miles starts to get the hang of his powers and starts to realize it's when he starts to get the epiphany stuff. But instead of through one is like not on the it's not in his room, and Peter doesn't dish him, and Peter's not wearing his Spider-Man clothes. He's still in his hobo clothes, civilian clothes, while wearing his Spider-Man suit. And he has a high-tech conversation with Miles on this balcony, and because he can tell Miles is feeling really some serious stress. And he says, okay, let's share the eggs. This isn't good. Okay, mates. Here it goes. Here goes nothing, Peter. And he says, oh, okay. You go, okay, buddy? He says, Miles, and, so Miles completely says that he's completely incapable and knows he's incapable of being Spider-Man, even when he's all on him to save the entire world. And Peter points out that's his problem. He's focusing on saving the world when he has to focus on saving one person, the people he cares about. Within one person of saying the one person he cares about. And so he names the three people in that order, which is his mom, his dad, and his uncle. And Peter smiles and says, as in jokingly saying you want to talk about that in that order. Why is in that order? So and then he asks Peter a question, and basically, so he's asked the question saying if MJ was his person that he thought of saving when to motivate himself to keep and relax to see when he saved the day. And he says, I mean, she still is, but it's different now. It's complicated. And he says to Miles, this superhero thing gets really, really hard. And he says to Miles, the one thing he knows for sure is that he cannot do like Peter did. He should do it like himself. That was cut from the movie. Those dialogues were cut from the movie. And not only that was part of a deleted scene, but I'm pretty sure that was a finished scene because that was cut for the first official show and was also in the final trailer of Spider-Verse. So they cut that I should have known that was I felt like it was a point seeing those dialogues that having B. Parker say those from that to Miles. But that for some reason was cut from the film. So, we have two Spider-Man movies that could have been saved if they just added that one special thing that was a really good scene. But instead it ended up being mediocre, both ended up being mediocre best and a really kind of convoluted, besides the convoluted plot, was way too many characters, while me having Miles instead of Peter being the main focus. But, it's the other way around, it's Peter but not Miles, because Miles doesn't exist in that universe yet. We don't know if it's going to get started up again, that amazing universe, but Spider-Verse is getting a sequel, so I don't know why. This is... Look, I'm giving Endgame a 5 out of 10 because I just realized it's basically Spider-Verse but done worse. Avengers Endgame a 5 out of 10. It's basically Spider-Verse but done worse because it's everything you should and shouldn't do at the same time at a combo between both Spider-Verse and Endgame, Avengers Endgame. The most high-grossing Marvel film made by Marvel, and Avengers again, gamers. This has many pros and cons as Spider-Verse has. which one handled it better? Well, Spider-Verse handles this both better. But it doesn't make it, not in the, but like Endgame and Amazing 2 and Spider-Verse, the main film we're talking about, they don't know when the strengths lie, where the strengths lies are for any of these films, or when the weakness lies. So, it's just focused on the strengths and the weakness at the same, of all the strengths and weakness. And this, somehow people caught on that, Amazing 2 wasn't that great of a comic film, but for some reason, Avengers Endgame and Spider-Verse flew over their fucking heads. Probably because it was better marketable than both films than Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's my best guess. And, so yeah, that's why I think Spider-Verse has Amazing 2 symptoms or formula. But the problem with Amazing 2 is the same problem with Spider-Verse. I'm still working on the title out loud, so that's all the video is. You know, I'm going to say Spider-Verse might be better than Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2, but so best out of these phrases is Spider-Verse, I'll tell you that, and still working on what the title is going to be, so just going to end this here, because I think I'm rambling on, and I'm getting kind of tired, so I'm sorry, I just got a lot of problems with Spider-Verse. Spider-Man to Spider-Verse from 2018.